From the Bangalore studio, she is joined by Vasi Philomin, the Vice President of Generative AI at AWS. Ritu, over to you.
Okay, moving on, Amazon Web Services is hosting its flagship annual event, AWS Summit in Bengaluru, where it announced that its generative AI app building platform, which is Amazon Bedrock, will now be available in the Asia-Pacific region. The general availability of Amazon Bedrock in this Mumbai region is going to support customers across the country, including public sector organizations and companies in regulated industries, to innovate with generative AI and have further choices on where they can run and store these applications. Joining me now to tell us more about this is Vasi Philomin, the Vice President of Generative AI at Amazon Web Services. Vasi, thanks very much for your time here on CNBC-TV18. Start by briefly telling us how you perceive the current landscape of generative AI adoption across industries and what trends you're seeing which are shaping its future growth and development, especially in India.
Yeah, I mean, generative AI, I think, is the most transformative technology of our times. And if you look at why generative AI is taking off now, I think there are essentially three key drivers. The first one is compute capacity. So I think any person sitting in their home or in their garage can simply spin up 1,000 machines at any moment they want. The second driver is data. So the cloud is a natural place for data to accumulate. And when a lot of data accumulates in one place, you can extract a lot of insights from all of that data using generative AI. And the third driver is simply something that's happening in the machine learning community, which is the sophistication of this generative AI models.
Well, you've announced the general availability of Amazon Bedrock in AWS Asia Pacific to support customers here. Can you discuss the strategic significance of the expansion of this into the region and how it aligns with your broader strategy for India?
AWS is democratizing access to building and using generative AI technology so that companies of all sizes across all industries with developers of all skill sets can take part in this transformation and grow their businesses. India, for us, is a very vibrant market segment for AWS with many talented developers and companies. So starting today, the general availability of Amazon Bedrock in the Asia-Pacific Mumbai region will support customers across the country, including public sector organizations and companies in regulated industries, to innovate with generative AI and to have more choice regarding where they can run and store generative AI applications.
So as we understand, across India, AWS is making some investments in partner support programs, startup accelerators, large language model development programs, and so on to help build specialized generative AI applications. Tell us about these and the kind of startups that you're working with here.
Yeah, I think we're still in the early days of generative AI innovation in India, but there's a huge opportunity for Indian enterprises and startups to use this technology to augment human performance and optimize productivity. One of the startups we're working with is Healthify. They're using our generative AI services to power their call center analytics solutions. This is expected, I think the use of generative AI for Healthify is expected to give them about 75% increase in the coach's capacity to accommodate new clients. So that's one example of a startup that we're working with. An example of a partner that we're working with is Shellcode. They're a leading IT firm in India. They help customers, harness the power of change, speed, and innovation to create business value by putting data and cloud.
Well, speaking of human capital, AWS has trained more than 5.5 million individuals in India with cloud skills since 2017. But given your plans when it comes to generative AI, what sort of investments are you looking to make in training human capital in Gen AI here?
Yeah, often when new technologies like generative AI emerge, the focus is on what we could lose in the short term instead of what we can gain in the long term. We think that generative AI and automation will create jobs we can't even begin to imagine. But for that, I think we must prepare the workforce with skills, with generative AI skills. And we made a commitment to provide, free cloud computing skills training to about 29 million people by 2025. In terms of AI, we also provide a variety of AI and machine learning resources, tools, and certification courses. I think there are more than 100 courses through our machine learning university. And since 2017, AWS has trained more than 5.5 million individuals in India. And going forward, we aim to provide free AI skills training to about 2 million people by 2025. And we have a commitment. It's a program called the AI Ready program. It's something that we announced earlier.
Well, good to hear that, Vasi. So, keeping all that we talked about in mind, tell us how significant a market will India be when it comes to your generative AI ambitions?
Yeah, AWS, we have a long-term commitment to India in general. And I think in May 2023, we announced plans to invest about $12.7 billion in India by 2030 for our local cloud infrastructure. This brings the total AWS investment in India to about $16.4 billion by 2030. And our planned investment will actually contribute about $23 billion to India's GDP by 2030. And so one of the focus areas would be, of course, advancing generative AI development and deployment capabilities. And that's kind of why we launched Amazon Bedrock in the AWS Mumbai region today.
All right, Vasi, that's all the time we had today. Thank you very much for joining us here on CNBC-TV18. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you, Ritu, for taking us through that. But on that note, it is time for us to head into a short break. Coming up next, Google makes a slew of new launches at the Developers Conference, shows off new upgrades to its Gemini AI model. We get to that and more on the other side. Stay tuned.